Peace and blessings, family. This is your boy, Juro. It is the 9th of May, 2017. How is everybody doing? I just woke up this morning. As you can tell, I'm a little weary. My feet are grounded, but I got a lot on my mind. Instead of having a strategic tagline, this message is for the intended, and I hope it reaches you because your life is priceless. Now, I try to come on when I do come on to offer encouragement, positivity, and try to show or illustrate how priceless your life is. Especially in 2017, there is a definite undercurrent in society, in what's being projected to confuse, to distract, to lead you astray of what matters most. And that is your legacy. I'm saying this as you look, no one has the responsibility or the burden to fulfill why you exist but you. And for some, they look at life like it's simply chess. Should I be strategic? Should I keep my thoughts and actions close to me? Should I be the one that makes the most moves without thought? Well, let me tell you something, family. What is a misstepped or misplaced choice to be given only to turn around in the intended time and moment and have to undo, replace, that's if you're lucky, to correct what has been done? There's so much negativity and poor examples of what being an adult is about. We have illustrations of pretty much all the 7 deadly sins, but right now it seems like the mark, the barometer, the measurement is about more for less without taking accountability, without any regards of what is said, what is done, and where you end up. I've been very fortunate through my life, through my journeys, to have people echo the same sentiment. Only through maturity to understand what was being gifted in the beginning. And that is common sense is not so common. And you look outside your door, family. You look at the climate of the people that make your world. One thing that comes up and echoes all the time: where's the love at? Where's the compassion? Where's the empathy? Where's the truth? But you know what echoes that's missing? This word called integrity. And integrity is basically spiritual because it's doing the right thing without anyone telling you, because of the inner knowing is the validation. And that's very frightening when you think about it, because there are going to be plenty of people that will take positions that are so of left because they want to stay the course. They find safety in ignorance instead of finding strength and just being able to be humble to ask for help. There's a reason why I'm throwing this out. Because, first of all, not to sound cliche, because it seems like a lot of times you hear people say, well, I'm human. Like that's a pass. Like that's all that's required. When in actuality, you're priceless. There'll never be another you. That's why I hope that if you are going through something, if you are dealing with a challenge, if you feel that you're at the verge of giving up, I want you to take a second to look that person in the mirror, that little boy, that little girl that still exists. No matter what your outer framing, your outer profile validates. So you owe that to them. You owe that extra step to them. If anything, just think of it on this note. If you choose not to see your value, everything that you have seen, everything that you've gone through, everything that you have lost was in vain. You basically have given carte blanche for those who have chosen not to see your work. But what is even more troubling is if you turn around and do not see the wisdom out of the setback, to see the wisdom. How about the truth? I ain't got to tell you. You've heard it all your life. Truth will set you free. But because the devil is such a liar, because he has convinced you through situations and scenarios to don't look at the truth, to turn a blind eye, to take the shortcut and not invest in what matters most. We're talking about you. Now to take a step back, because Gerald got love for each and every one of you, and you deserve to be happy. I'm not talking about the happiness that is temporary because it's found on a rack. It's found with a price tag. It is found because it has a little association of a higher bracket for your self-esteem. I'm talking about what joy really is. So you can't find joy in destruction. You can't find peace of mind if it's not earned. And what's required is the awesome to be authentic to that little boy and little girl that looks at you every morning when you wake up. When you brush your teeth and you wash the crust out of your eyes. That's validation right there. You got work still not done. Now, I know for some people, they're going to turn around and say, well, Gerald, I've heard that. But the fact of the matter is, you don't have the challenges I do. It's kind of hard to have a smile on your face when, you know, you might have that eviction notice on your door. Or you may have that scenario where you wake up to find out that where your loyalty was not returned. This happens every day. But you know what? This isn't a cliche. This is from my heart to your ear, hopefully to touch your spirit. The reason why you are seeing, the reason why you feel it, right? The fact, just right there, the fact that you are able to connect and feel the emotional connection or the neglect, right there should tell you that's spiritual. That right there should tell you that there's more to you than your physical aspect. But what's so sad, we live in a society that is so driven for destruction at all costs. You don't even see the mockery that's being played out because it won't make good content on TV. Queens, I warned y'all 4-5 years ago. Stop playing with yourself. Stop playing with your anatomy. Start investing in who you really are. Change up some things. But most importantly, change the way you see and function in the world. But when it comes to your anatomy, that's off limits. Leave it alone. And what has been going on for the last 2-3 years, there's always a sensationalized story of someone's daughter, someone's mother losing their life for vanity. And got to the point now that society is making a mockery of it because now they're even showing illustrations of what not to do because they're putting imagery of women that are unfortunately waking up to look like gremlins. And I'm not saying this out of disrespect. Looking at their body shift and move when it shouldn't. Seeing the price tag of temporary validation for monetary gain, only to have to deal with it for the rest of your days. Some things money can't buy. Family, peace of mind is one of them. But look at what's going on now. In a town near you, in a city near you, in a state near you, you can't turn on the TV without seeing the headlines of someone's son, someone's daughter being identified on the cold ground, being found in the bushes, coming up missing. But we don't talk about the things that make our communities, but it happens all the time. You say, Joe, why are you bringing this up? I see that. I know. It ain't got nothing to do with me, but in actuality, it does. What about our babies? We're not going to be here forever, family. And no one's taking into consideration of the path that we're walking, that there's going to be somebody that's going to walk behind it. I should have threw a disclaimer out there, but I'm going to try really, really hard to govern what comes out my mouth. Because I'm very disappointed and I'm very scared. I'm very scared, family. I am. He said, why? It ain't got nothing to do with you. Now I get to go and bring this around. So for the last 4, almost 5 days, I've been real stressed out because it started about actually almost 7 days. And the one thing I don't do is even though I'm on social media, I'm very cognizant on what I put my attention to, because I know that just as much as there are people that wish to be like-minded, there are just as many people with the sole agenda to distract you from that. And the sad thing about it is these people, even though they have vigor in their actions, do not have the same vigor to change their lives. And you know these people as toxic. You may have heard your family members at one time say this sentiment of, you can't go around fighting everybody, but you can fight for you. Because you don't need anybody's permission to love yourself, to be the best you, to ensure that your dreams are made a reality. We have 7.2 billion people on this planet. Half the people too busy worrying about the geography of the landscape than what's going on inside their home. But what was ironic is, as a little boy, I saw this a long time ago. And the same thing that is going on right now, millennials, you better listen. Because I know right now, it is instinctive for you to have a position of, oh, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. But let me tell you something. I wish I had took heed to just 10% of what was being conveyed through my development. Oh, I could unequivocally tell you I would be a very, very wealthy man. It's not about money, but I'm just telling you because little did I know as I was trying to navigate being a little boy in a passive aggressive world. It humbles you. So let's fast forward that. I'm going to put that on pause and I'm going to tell you the gist of why I'm on here. So yesterday I was at work and you got to bear with me because I know I'm skipping around, but it'll have context in a second. So yesterday I was at work and just so happened I happened to step out and there was this gentleman. I saw him on the phone and he was not to eavesdrop in his conversation, but he was pretty loud and which that was nothing but passion. He was passionate about that conversation. And it was in regards to his children. I would end up knowing this because this man would strike a conversation with me, which I believe that at that moment God put me right there to promote, to pretty much be a sounding board for that gentleman because he was very heated, but by the time I left, he was good to go. And I believe that's what God does. God will move you to see, to gain wisdom, and put you in a place long enough for you to get what is being revealed to you for you. And that's why you always hear people say, there's always somebody going through something harder than you. Just as well as there is always somebody that would change or trade their life for what you have. Don't take it for granted. But what's going on now? So socially, because I can't, it's bigger than a community, but it reaches every individual, no matter where you are, it touches you because we all have a part in it. We all have to sign off on it or choose to turn a blind eye. And the real question is, it's because we don't want to see the truth. So after I had that conversation with this guy, I walked and I went back to where I was at work, but I stepped away just to get my mind right. But that interaction was actually validation on what was going on with me. Because see, for some of y'all who have been following me, y'all know that Gerald I have a daughter. And I have not been actively in my daughter's life now almost 13 years. And it's not by choice. It's by reaction. And he said, well, how are you going to say that, Gerald? You could choose to be out there with your daughter if you choose to go out there. And it made me think about what someone had told me that was pretty much, they were an abuser. They took my kindness. Like, I'm going to put this out there. Everybody has a weakness in life, but not everybody will admit to what it is, but will spend a great deal of trying to spin it so it suits them, only to suffer in silence. Only to get this, well, you know, that's how they are. No, it's not. That's a choice. And one of my number one weakness has always been to women. Oh, they ain't not. No. I call it the wounded bird syndrome. And I don't mean it to be salacious by using the term bird as negative. I mean, like when you see a bird that's injured. Remember the first time when you were little, you saw a little bird and it was your innocence, you just wanted to help. I spent almost a quarter of my life trying to help people that didn't want to be helped. Because I have a big heart, family. Always have. And I'm going to tell you what. On the flip side, I know the devil has always been there saying, that's why you should have been just go for broke and look out for you, look out for number one, bump them people, you know, yeah. But God don't work that way. And that's why things come full circle. And that's why truth has a way of revealing itself when you don't want it to. Because I'm a firm believer that God is also the ultimate comedian too, because he will show you your flaws without your permission, only for you to deal. And he'll leave it there until you do. That's why I've always said history is the way it is constructed. History will always have a certain tone, a certain theme, because that's God, once again, if you're willing to be truthful with yourself to get the message. That's why you see it. That's why people come back in your life. Who am I talking to? You actually thought you was going to go through your life, even though in the back of your mind, you ain't healed from that, thinking that you would never cross paths, only to set up the next situation. Why do you think you're seeing it? Because divinely, that person and yourself, have a spiritual tie that must be fulfilled. There must be actions that come from it. But if it's not blessed, you're going to suffer till you do. Why do you think all of a sudden you don't hear people? Why is it now that you hear about stories about, oh man, this person had this secret and didn't even say anything about it until they were on their deathbed because they didn't have the fortitude, to love themselves more? How about respect themselves to set themselves free? Realize how many lives were lost because of fear? Realize how many lives were altered because of pride and ego? You realize how many lives could be forever changed if you only had the courage to love yourself more. And that's why I've been stressing. You can see it. Look, I could have came up in here and I ain't even wash up, brush my teeth. I'm glad you ain't in here because you be like, Joe, you need to take yourself into the back. I know. But see, I got so much love and respect for you, family. I appreciate your support, and you deserve someone that's going to keep it authentic. Nobody ain't got time to bullshit you. You deal with bullshit people every day. So you're not going to get that here. Excuse my French. So I've been stressing for about 5 days, but it started 7 days ago because, see, I don't go, like I said, I'm connected on Facebook, but I'm on a lot of social media. Some of it's strategically done for my channel. Majority of it is for the channel to put that message out to reach the intended person in the intended time. But I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on Snapchat. I'm not on Tumblr. Because the intended person will stumble upon it. They'll digest it, like how it goes. Eat the meat, throw away the bones. I'm giving you food for thought. So, yeah, I've been stressing because for those who know, I have a daughter. And my daughter is about to graduate. And I'm proud of her. Don't get me wrong. I am so proud of her. She's going to go off to college and she's turning 18 this month. But then I would be lying, and I can't lie, that there's a wound there because the choices that were made, how they were made, were by way of betrayal. And it's a trigger for me because it's like, I know the greater good is, well, she had the best educational life she had. She's always been a 4.0 student. And she's going to go off, you know. And for me, as I mentioned before, I've always financially and beneficially, since her first breath, have done. Not a little bit, not in a little crumbs, beyond. And there were periods of time where, you know, you take this position of you leave well alone, and then when she's ready, she'll seek you out. Just make sure that you're ready and that door is open. And I've always been that way. I always pray for my daughter. I always do. And I realized that she doesn't have a spiritual connection. Actually, it's the opposite. It's just she rejects it. She's more or less of what I call a realist. Like if I don't see it, it's not tangible, so it doesn't exist. And it frustrates me because I know that her life can't come to pass as it should be ordained until she does. And therefore, I also know that opens a door for some struggles that are going to come to pass. And which is sad because I'm just going to have to pray a little harder. And not to flip flop, to go back to the conversation I had with the guy, right? He was like, yeah, you know, he was, so, you always talk about the financial stuff, right? He's like, yeah, I got 3 daughters. And when he said that, I just like, damn, for real? Inside in me, right? Because the truth of the matter is, you don't need, there are people that talk about karma all the time. That's divine intervention. It just depends on the trajectory of how it is revealed. Some get blessed, some have to do work. But it will come to pass one way or another. It depends on when you get tired of running from you. But the one thing I've always known, that in the streets, there's a term called the player's curse. When you see that guy, all he has is children, all he has is girls, even though he's like, I want a boy, but he got girls. Just because 9 times out of 10, he was a womanizer and he didn't have the proper example of illustration of what manhood was about. So guess what? God won't block your blessing, but you're gonna earn it. You're gonna earn it in tears. You're gonna earn that in long nights. You're gonna earn that in stress, especially when you know that your worst fear is one day there is going to be someone that does this. How you doing? Or I got guys in my job. I hear their pain all the time talking about, yeah, I love her, love my grandbaby, but that dude, he won't get off the couch. He don't see the importance of being there for them. But in actuality, she chose him. She chose him. I know some of y'all say, well, that's from the Mac. Well, it's the same. You can't make nobody do what they don't want to do. And sometimes it's painful to watch. That doesn't mean you disown them. You just hope they make it through. And that's been the sentiment of my life, fam. That's been the epitaph of my story, because there have been many of people that I have opened these arms to, that I have spent a long and late night saying it's gonna be all right. That I have, come on, I got you. And the reality is, they ain't there. And the reality is, their life is downward spiral. Terrible. And it shook me, because it was like, why is it I'm not there? You're going through hell. But when I was there, everything was good. And then I realized, maybe you were the example of what love was. Maybe you were the covenant or the cover that protected them from their tribulation. That's what just blows my mind, how some people have the audacity to do not believe that demons don't exist. Why do you think you're going through what you're going through? It's because you fail to acknowledge it exists. So until you acknowledge it exists, you sustain. Because pain does not know time nor space. It stays. So, not to be winded, family, I felt a certain kind of way because I felt something coming up because I went on Facebook and I started seeing people that I had been connected with, and what was baffling was I hadn't talked to these people in years, but the sentiment was always the same. I had told these people, don't do that. This is not what you want to do. I put that disclaimer out there. That's why when you hear the grass is not greener on the other side, it's true. So it made me think about a lot of things, and a lot of conversations that I had on all aspects of the relationships of people I've had, from my family to people that I've met along the way to people that I've loved. And the one thing that has been echoing in my spirit for at least the last 4 years, and I want especially the female subscribers to take heed to this. I made a comment in the beginning of my channel, um, and I said, and I and which was I got validation on this because I heard somebody take my phrase and put it in a commercial. But I've said a lot of things that are ended up being in commercials, and I've made a lot of I've made little phrases that are in how we talk, and I'm like, man, if I want, I should get paid for all this because this stuff all came from my spirit. But it's not about that. It just shows the power of communication. And the one thing that I had conveyed was, if you want to know what your companion, if you want to know what your girlfriend, significant other is going to become, look at her mom. If you want to look at your significant other, your guy, who he is, who he's going to become, look at the people that is most influential in his life in a male role. And that's who he is. And most of the time, we don't want to do that because we don't like what we see, especially guys. We don't want to acknowledge that crazy girlfriend that, no matter what you say, she don't care. Because the truth of the matter is, your girlfriend and her girlfriend emotionally are one and the same. That's why they're together. That's why they walk together. That's why birds of a feather flock together. So if her life is a train wreck, the girlfriend's life is a train wreck too. You just ain't figured it out yet. And just so happen, you happen to be the stop. Can that change? Changes all the time. Changes all the time now. But usually 9 times out of 10, it will stay that path until that person rock bottom. Or better yet, you get the hell out of their way. Or you run out of them, or your money runs out. Depends on whatever the paradigm is. So I got real angry, family, and I'll be honest with you too. Um, I relapsed. I had a cigarette yesterday after being smoke free for over a month. I'm gonna reel that back in and get back on my grind. But I was so upset because I communicated to my daughter through text, and I wanted to. I Let me tell you something, Queen. I cannot stress this. I cannot stress this. If you have the ability to have a connection with your father, or you may be blessed and you have a dad as well, or that person that is that male influence in your life, you need to gravitate towards him and don't let go. Don't let go of that bond. He's gonna tell you some things that you're not gonna like. But the one thing he should do is he's gonna protect you from yourself. And in the process of that, that's gonna protect your heart. Because he's not gonna put you in, he's not gonna let you put yourself, excuse me, in harm's way. You need him in your life. Because I ain't got to tell you this. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but look at it for what it is. Y'all know what it is when you don't have your father or your dad or that male figure in your life. You see the outcome. You can't have enough babies to fill that void. You can't, there's not enough bad behavior to get you to forget. There's not enough drugs to get you high enough. There's not enough sexual partners to make you feel numb. And you know what happens when you graduate from all those things? Well, there's a lot of women nowadays, you guys like having abortions, like changing shoes. But use the excuse, well, I ain't think he was going to be there. You know what? It's kind of contradictory when nobody made you open the golden arches but you. No one allowed the secret garden to be accessed. Even Prince conveyed that in the song Thieves in the Temple. Who you think the thieves were? The people that didn't deserve to hear you breathe. How you think sugar daddies come to be? And you know what happens after a sugar daddy has had his way? He spawns the opposite. You know her as the sugar mama, the cougar. But she's doing the same bad behavior, preying on the young. Oh, he don't know no better. He got a strong back though. I'll just give him a couple pennies and he'll go on about his business. But that ain't living. But what you don't realize, and what was funny, because y'all got mad when Tyrese made that comment about the mileage. Queen, you do understand every time you open the golden arches, you allow someone else's DNA to live in you. You understand that, right? That don't go away. So, if their DNA still is connected to you, what do you think their spirit is doing? How about them bad habits? I know I'm talking to somebody right now. Before they came into your life was totally different. You might have been knocked down a couple times, but you still saw the value of your existence. Then when you were ready to tap out, because you knew that if you didn't get up out of there, they were going to take your life or tear something up. Instead of seeing the wisdom and the value of your life, what did you do? You celebrated their bad habits to do that to someone else. Why? Because you won't love yourself to heal. I'm going to bring this home. And you know what's sad? Because in 2017, millennials, Joe got love for you, but you better love yourself more. Place God first in everything you do, because if you don't put God first in your endeavors will not come out the way you envision them to be, because they're not protected. And guess what? The devil loves that, because he'll intercept it. Boom. Oh, you going to do that? Well, I'm going to give you what you want, but you're going to take this burden with it. That's why in 2017, they don't even talk about the female sterility level. It's at the all-time high now. And it's the younger age group has made up for the older. So that tells you right there, the older, the seasoned women that have had the ability to live on this planet are not teaching our princesses what not to do. Now it's all about shake his pockets, girl. Get all you can. I know somebody's smirking, but you do understand you can't buy your respect, and that's what prostitutes do. That's what Jezebels are. They put a price tag on their happiness by way of their vagina and their sexual exploits. And guess what happens? You might have a little bit of jingle jangle, but you'll live your life alone. Oh yeah, you'll live your life alone. You see them all the time, got them big old glasses on, nice little car. They're gonna be the first ones you see up in church too, with that big old hat. You know why they do that? To hide their shame. Because the church has become the club now. Y'all don't even see it. See, God likes the fact that you want to fellowship, but God wants you to have a connection with him first. Lay down. See, he back there. He think I'm upset. I'm okay, Tyson. Chill out. But no one can protect your life for the bad people. Because even now in 2017, y'all got Sheila now. Sheila don't even love herself. She want to be something she ain't. But don't have the courage to look that person in the mirror and say, I love you more. No, I'm not that. I'm just, no. You got wounds. You've been running from your wounds. And you gravitating to people to think the same way you do because you don't want to be judged. Don't judge, because when you judge, you're judged. So why can't we spin it and say, love and be loved? How about grow and become? How about ground your feet and speak your truth? But yet we put value on things we don't have, but squander the things we possess. Why is that? Why? Millennials, do you see what's going on in? They're setting your world up. So when you become, if you're blessed to see your 50s and 60s, It's going to be very bleak. You have people that want anarchy. You have people that have the audacity that right before you are trying to rewrite your history. You don't believe me? When was the last time you looked at your news? Huh? Get off of social media. Look at your news around you. You see how people are tearing monuments down and desecrating tombstones? And why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? Huh? History repeats itself for a reason. But you know what's so sad about that? These same people that come to your neighborhood kicking up dust, gonna tear it up and go back to theirs. And they ain't gonna see none of that because they live pretty well. They're gonna go back to their college campuses and laugh about the debauchery, only for you to live with your reality of what. You don't see that? My thing is this: if you're so proud behind your position, why you hide your face? Because the last group I saw hide their face was Klan. Last time I saw someone hide their face, they were in Syria and Afghanistan. And when in actuality, the biggest villain is follow the paper trail, follow the money, the monetary. They'll tell you that's where your puppet strings. So those are nothing but the pawns. Queens, I love each and every one of you, but I can't make you love you. And you're not going to find peace of mind running away from your pain. Why are you acting out because of what that fool did? If God didn't want you in that, if he wanted you in there, that would be your reality. But you notice you ain't there because even still God's got something better, got someone better. But he's not going to reveal them until you're ready. I don't care, Joe. I just want to turn up. But what happens? You're the one getting turned up. You're the one that's sprawled all over the internet because of your sexual escapades. You're the one that people are educating their children. See, that's why I don't want you to be with them. What kind of defense do you have if you don't give a damn about you? Oh, Gerald, that's just how racist is. You can't have a racist without ignorance. And ignorance that are not validated by fear. So what's in your wallet? Is it worth your pride? Is it worth your respect? I'm just saying. King, hear me now. Now more than ever, you need to be in your children's lives. And especially if you have a daughter. Don't sit up there scratching your ball sack talking about, I don't want to have nothing to do with the mama because, listen, you laid down with her. The blessing that came out of that was your child. But I'm going to tell you what you failed to do as a father, the streets are going to do as a reality. Because that's somebody's daughter. That's somebody's mama on that pole. That's someone's auntie jumping in and out of cars and coming out of hotel rooms because she got a drug habit. That's still family. That's somebody's grandma still getting violated. She got secrets on secrets. Shh, don't tell nobody. When the coast is clear, I'll come see you. Let me tell you something. Dead people have no tails. And there are a lot of people in those cemeteries. There should not be. Hell, today, there are going to be people that are starting their day, they ain't going to make it because of a decision. Oh, I'm smart. I'm slick. Okay. That's what the devil wants you to think. Your life doesn't turn out the way you want it, Queens, if you keep disrespecting yourself. That's all I'm saying. If you want to turn around and be the regret, then you keep on keeping on. But don't complain when the pain comes, when the disrespect comes, because that manifests emotional. See, emotional scars are the ones that last the longest because they take a long time to heal, because it requires truth. It requires vulnerability. But you know what happens to those people that put their ego and their pride, like I don't care, I don't care. You know what happens? They're the ones that end up attracting that mate that beats the shit out of them. Excuse my French. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Got you on that emotional and physical leash. Got you doing things that you said you would never do. And you pray it never finds out. But guess what happened? All things hidden are revealed. So if you ain't loving you, can you blame them for that? Last thing, and I'm gone. Millennials, for a generation that is intellectually, you are advanced, but you have no common sense and you don't see the value of your life. You do understand that what is going on right now, your generation is going to be the test subject. That's right. You don't realize your generation is going to be the generation that will take up where the 80s babies ended. Because see, in the 80s, we had a lot of crack babies. We had a lot of heroin heads. We had a lot of addicts. And you've seen the remnants of that now. That's one of the reasons why our health care is the way it is. Because they can't pay for it. They can't take care of themselves. So somebody got to take care of you. But if you don't take care of your mind, you can't expect your body to be on point. So once again, see the value of your life by grounding your feet. So because if you ain't loving you, who's loving you? Is it you? Be blessed.